Alright, there we are. Looks like I'm ready to go. I am doing an easier stream for myself today. Well, it's theoretically easier. Maybe I'll run into snags, but I'm not working on any library in particular. I've been editing YouTube videos and wanted to kind of wrap up some really useful ffmpeg one-liners that I've started using to kind of help automate the editing process. Basically, I want to run a pre-cut function that does a transformation on the input, and then all I have to do is cut down my rambling. Anyway, so I have a few one-liners that I've just been copy pasting into the command line to edit videos, but I want to see if I can kind of just make a really simple Clojure utility project that calls out to shell with the right command lines and stuff like that. Does a few basic calculations for me so that I don't have to figure out resolutions and all that kind of stuff. So that is the name of the game for the day. Should be interesting. I'll see what I can pull off, and I'm just going to get into it. Because I don't have much to say other than what I just said. You know? That's just fine, I think. Okay, let's Okay. Okay. Here I am. Basically ready to go. All I need to do now is clean up my desk space a little bit here. So I actually have room to think, room to work. Alright, I think things look and sound okay. Alright, let's get into this. So, I've got this, I called it VidWiz. It's just this is a total stub. It doesn't do anything yet. It just has just nothing in it at all. This is the only thing I put in, basically. A place to store ffmpeg snippets and knowledge for better video editing. And admin haven't filled in any to-dos or anything. Let me just adjust this. I will keep the to-dos thing here, but I'll just convert it into a top level there. This is VidWiz, like I said. I will refresh the header there. Design is fine. Yeah. So here is the scratch thing. What I've been doing is just putting a heading, and copying, like literally just pasting in the commands. I don't know, I think anyone who's done any bit of video editing and isn't afraid of the command line has copy pasted some magical ffmpeg commands in their lifetime. And all I'm doing today is looking through these various things, and I want to try make something that's sort of like a transformation pipeline. Like I can give, I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but I want to try wrap some of these up at least in useful functions. So I'm going to start with this one because it's actually a big long command that is pretty easy for me to I think it'll be pretty easy for me to actually wrap, so I may as well start with that. And in order to make it work, I do need to first get a REPL going and check that ffmpeg can be called correctly from shell, and that'll be Clojure shell. I've used this before, but it's good to double check the examples to get it running nicely. I think this will work. Clojure.java.shell refer shell. I think that should work actually. Let's save that. Let's check what my deps are looking like here. I don't want Clojure script. Spec and test I'll leave in. Get rid of the aliases here. Get rid of resources because I'm pretty sure I don't have that. Dev vidwiz. Let's have a look at what's all in here. Yeah, very basic project. Nothing weird going on at all. This is just a utility library. I'm basically wrapping ffmpeg one-liners in Clojure functions. It would be cool. It could be possible to turn a pipeline of audio video transformations into a simple auto editing script. At least it seems plausible to make a pre-cut automation for my YouTube videos. Anyway, that is not that important to write either. Not a big deal. I am focusing on getting this little bit working. Simple, simple, simple. So since I've got the right depths, let's start a REPL here. And see if we can have a little bit of fun with that. Okay. All we got to do is see if this will load. There we go. So before I I'm gonna give myself a little softball here. Well, I think it's a softball. I'm gonna combine two little ideas here to make this one-liner. ffmpeg lavfi. Input is gonna be color. Let's do hot pink, because why not? I always like to do hot pink. Size, we'll do 500 by 500. Size equals. And let's make the output a single frame. I should be able to do seek to the timestamp 0 frames v1 one frame, and I'll just call it out.png for simplicity. So this is just an ffmpeg command. I'm gonna copy it and try to run it here and see if it actually does something for me. if this works, it'll just produce a solid PNG. If I open out.png, it should be a hot pink color. I do wonder if maybe the color will be wrong, but it looks hot pink to me. Okay, so why is that useful? I don't exactly know, but I'm going to use it to generate fake videos, because what you can do is kind of treat pictures as a single frame video, and you can use that to test big transformations rapidly, right? You don't have to worry about your what am I saying? You don't have to, if you have, let's say, 30-minute video that you want to do a thing on, it'll take a bit of time to run ffmpeg on it. So what you can do instead is test it on small bits. I'm barely making sense today. A little out of energy. But let's define what should I even call it? Solid image. What I want it to take in is width, height, color. Yeah. And then shell. Let's see if I can make this work. How does this work again? I think it's just a list of strings that are the arguments, basically, right? So I should basically be able to take this should work. It's a little ugly, but let's give it a shot. Hey Mike, it's going well. How are you today? Hope things are going well on your end. Let's see here. Let's do string this bit together. Color equals color string. Ooh, wait a second. This might be. I have to actually put a. Have to escape that. Put that there. It's a little hard to read, maybe. Let's do that. You're hanging in there. A few busy days of work. Wasn't able to stop by. Heavy front load means easier days later in the week, so that's nice. Yeah, that is good. Yeah, I hadn't seen you in the chat much. I figured you might have something going on at work, but going on just busy time at work. So not too surprising to hear that, but glad you're here now and glad you're hanging in there. That's better than the alternative, right? I'll admit I'm a little tired today. I've been staying up trying to. I have another YouTube video almost ready to go, and I've been trying to edit it and make it good, right? So I've been really trying to get it done, staying up, trying to get the edits finished, and it just took longer than I expected. And so here I am. So today I'm not doing my SVG stuff right now. Since I'm editing video, I have been looking up this arcane magic that is ffmpeg one-liners. And so all I'm doing is just trying to wrap a few of the useful ones up into maybe some reusable functions, more to take a mental break than anything else, you know? Oh, it's exciting. What's the topic for the new one? Surprise. We'll have to watch to find out. Oh, I'll tell you about it. I mentioned briefly this website, I think. This little project that I did. You saw me do the prototyping of this thing where you play the game Hades. So I made a video just showing how I built the so I didn't go through the entirety of the app. Basically what I did was go through the logic of how I made the random rolling, explaining reactive atoms a little bit and my thinking about it. And then I showed ever so briefly how to draw, like how I drew these frames with SVG. So it's a bit of a video just about how I came up with this and how I executed on it. So a little less, it's way less direct, right? It's not I'm making a minimal compiler. It's I made this thing and here's some parts of it that are interesting to talk about. I think it'll be fun because it's an idea that's just out there enough that it might get a bit of attention. I mean, if it doesn't, that's fine too. The other thing is I had a lot of fun working on it, so it was just going to be fun to share. And yeah, that's what I've got going on. So the video edit, I don't have big expensive editing software, and I have not yet spent a lot of time learning how to. I know you can edit video with, say, Blender, but I haven't learned how to do that yet. And my video edits are pretty much just cuts. So theoretically, iMovie is actually sufficient for the stuff I do, but I'm already running into the limits of how iMovie is built. Like, I had one clip that if I had a 1080p clip and then I had a 720p clip that I was going to do as picture in picture, but I put the 720p clip in first, and then once you export, it only lets you export in 720p. You have to have your base clip be 1080 if you want to export to 1080. It's a silly restriction that is just built into iMovie, and you're not going to figure that out until you can't get what you want. So over time, I'm going to be looking into better editing software because I've done editing before. I know how to do it. I'm just using the tools I have available. I'm not like a professional, right? Not yet. So so I'm going to just take my time with that. I don't need to spend all my money at once. But a lot of that stuff, a lot of the finicky bits, I actually have started to collect one-liner ffmpeg things for that make the editing quicker. So the whole my dream would basically be, okay, this is the style I want. I'll just run the pre-cut automation on my raw footage. Boom, I've got a base, and then I can just do a final pass edit on that and be done. That's the dream. We'll see if it gets there. But that's what I've been struggling with for a little while. Can't wait to watch that one. Sounds like it could end up being a good introduction to people who want to get into Clojure. Yeah, that could be. I've already got I got a comment on the other video I've done so far, and someone had said pretty much that they're learning Clojure and they enjoyed the level of detail I was able to provide in the video. So that's encouraging. I'm really happy about that. Someone else pointed out that I had uploaded the video and it had, so this mic records, it's a mono signal, right? Which is fine. You normally just mix it to center channel, or you do a mono mix so that it's even on left and right channels. But I forgot to do that. And by default, it went to the left channel. So someone commented that my left ear is thanking you, but my right ear doesn't hear anything. So I had to re-upload the video. Ugh, it's ridiculous. It's like I don't know what I'm doing. Oh man. Yeah, you was only listening with one at the time. You didn't notice. See that's kind of the funny thing, right? Just by happenstance, you were listening with your left. You must have been, I guess, listening with your left headphone. And if you had been listening with the right, you would have found out very quickly. Funny how that works. It's I mean, the really nice thing about not having people know who you are in terms of YouTube, if there's anything nice about that, is that a mistake like that is not costly at all, right? You just fix the issue and you're good to go. But I have it in the pipeline now. I have a fixed mono audio right here. So I can pull the audio channel out into a WAV file or wave, whatever, however you pronounce that, and just immediately staple it back onto the original video. I could probably do it in one line. Right now I just have it in two, and that solves that problem. Ridiculous. Okay, but whoops. My stuff's falling off my desk. All right. So, all part of the learning experience. Oh yeah, for sure. I'm learning quickly. Maybe not quick enough. No, it's good. So legitimately, I'm really excited to get a few positive comments already. To get that kind of interest on the first video I've done is, it's just encouraging enough for me to be really excited to work on this next one. And I have a bunch of videos planned and ready to go, so I've got a little bit of that momentum going. It's feeling pretty good. And I'm still having fun with it. If I can get some of these ffmpeg functions kind of working really nicely for me, I can take the tedium out of it a little bit, and that'll be good. See, because my favorite part about making a video is planning it and shooting it, right? And I like explaining stuff. I like trying to figure out a good way to balance clarity with conciseness, so that a video is not too long, not too boring, but not too uninformative either. That's a tough balance, but it's fun when you get it. The worst part for me is always sitting down and editing out the the fumbles, the dead space, and all that kind of stuff. So anything I can do to reduce that part of the workload, I think will be beneficial for me in the long run. So this is a good, simple first pass at that kind of thing, I imagine. Width, height. I have to end that like that. Oop. Close the string. Mike, have you ever used Clojure's shell function? I'm not sure if you're familiar with that at all. You can call out to, you can shell out and run other commands in another thread and get the results back in a map. So it's a really quick way to prototype. You know, if I don't have a library built into Clojure that does, say, video editing, right? You can just wrap some shell commands in a function in Clojure and kind of just dispatch ffmpeg to do stuff, spit results back in, and then you continue on with Clojure. I've used the shell thing with some SVG tracing before already too, so it's pretty useful. The downside is you have to, if you want it to work, you have these dependencies on external tools, right? I've not. When I do shell scripting, you do Python. You're more familiar with it. You've used Python with ffmpeg to convert files, trim them a bit, but as one-off scripts. Yeah, that makes sense. I used to use, I think it's PyMovie is, yeah, and you know, Clojure is not really commonly used as a sort of scripting library, although there's this tool Babashka that is getting more popular and is basically built for shell stuff. This is, yeah, this is what I was thinking. PyMovie, I'm pretty sure, is a wrapper library in Python over, this is not, this is not what I was thinking of. Anyway, doesn't matter. No, Babashka, Clojure. Yeah, here. The main idea behind Babashka is to leverage Clojure in places where you would be using bash otherwise. So that's exactly scripting type stuff. But as a starting point, since I'm just messing around for the day, using the good old shell is probably fine for the time being. It probably is a good idea to keep in mind that I should still have a few skills in Python, so it might be worth doing stuff like this in Python from time to time, but I won't worry about that too much right now. So this, you know, let's hard code a file name. Let's just see if this will actually work. So what I want this to do, if I run solid image, and let's make it 200 by 2, no, let's do 300 by 200, and the color is gonna be lime green. If I run that, in theory, it'll be running ffmpeg in the background, and it returned an error. Invalid argument. Right. So this is obviously, you know, where things do break down a little bit. The tools you run in shell are not, they're designed however they are. They're not necessarily built for Clojure, right? So you sometimes have to get a little creative with things. I'm pretty sure I actually have Babashka installed, BB. Yep. Version 0.1.2. Oh boy, I gotta update it. I'll get to that later. There's really not much to doing it in a Python way, to be honest. It's a one-liner to call out to terminal, at least how I do it. It might be completely wrong. You know, I doubt that there's a completely wrong way to do it. One of the weaknesses and strengths of Python is the ability to approach a problem in a lot of different ways, right? Something like subprocess.check output, and then you run the command. Is the command that you put in there in that example you have, is it a single string and then it just parses it out on its own? Because that sounds pretty nice, actually. Sub process dot check. No. Oh yeah, dot check output echo high. Oh, what? I did it wrong. Let's not fail to type. How about that? Oh, import subprocess. This is old knowledge. No such file or directory. It's an array. Oh, yeah, okay. So the command would be, I don't know if you can see this easily. I'm trying to run it in the, right here in the terminal. It's at the bottom of the screen. Can you tell I don't have anything important planned for the day? Echo. Wait, how does echo work again? My brain, it's completely shut down. There we go. I can actually just here, echo hi. Still not getting it correct. Whatever. Missed the You're absolutely right. Do you know why I missed the comma in the list? It's because there we go. It worked. Man. So this, when I start, so I have a few languages in the, like, on the back burner that I want to learn. So like Rust, maybe a little bit of Go, maybe Haskell one day, and Julia for some like mathematical type learning. But I am going to struggle so hard writing lists just because this is the best way to write lists without having to put extra characters in there. My goodness, that's going to be a struggle. There we go. But hey, such is life. I think I can be. I think I could manage eventually. All right, so it's actually not that different. The method you mentioned to me there, subprocess and check output, so far is actually the same as this. Where, so like if I do shell echo hi and run this, exit 0 is a non-error exit. I think that's just a normal exit. And then if you do out, so if I pull the out key from this, I get the exact result that I did with the Python subprocess. So the logic is basically identical, at least in this instance. That's pretty cool. But I do want to figure out why this solid image is not working. I have some malformed what's the word? Arguments. That's the word. No such filter. This is a little hard to understand. Well, let me see this for a second. ASDF 300 by 200 by lime green. It's possible that the color lime green isn't a valid color, but I don't think that's the problem. That's definitely lime green. Let's just do this. Okay, so right, bummer, man. Okay, well, let's try the next easiest thing that comes to mind, shell. Let's just not include the quotes, but I don't think that'll solve the problem, but let's try it anyway. Oh, hey, that actually worked. That surprises me, honestly. Let's open out 2. It should be a rectangle lime green. Okay, there we go. I wonder if I don't need the quotes at all anyway. Let's try this. Was it the backslashes causing the problem? Yeah, I guess so. I thought that... Oh, man. it turned... So what I was doing was just one-to-one translating this one-liner, which works directly. If you run that in the terminal, it works. And I was trying to... Like, if you make a string, you have to escape the quote character like that in order to print a quotation, right? So if I string this, what am I doing? That's not what I meant. I don't know what I'm trying to prove here. I don't know. If you want to put double quotes inside a string in Clojure, you do have to escape them. So, but maybe the escape is just not working the way I thought. It turns out I don't need those in there anyway, because this works just fine like that. The only reason I had those is all of the snippets I've seen on Stack Overflow had them, so I don't know what the deal is. Let's just do a sanity check one last time that this is true. Let's do blue. Open out.png. Yep, that's definitely blue. So now let's remove out.png and remove out2.png. I don't need them. Just needed to prove that they do create something. So now So here's a thing that's not very functional. It's not very good Clojure programming, right? This is a function that just is basically nothing but a pure side effect, right? It's saving a file to the file system. I can't really do anything with that unless I pass the file name around as part of the construction of this whole thing. And that just means if I pipe a lot of things, it's a lot of read-write from the disk. I don't know if I should care all that much for a really simple pipeline like this, you know? So here, let me try to illustrate what I mean by that. Let's do a resize. We'll take a new width and a new height. And so here, right, if I create a shell command that does the resize, which I forget how to do. Oh yeah, here. Something like that. So let's resize video. Let's construct this here. So the input will be video. Oh, of course, see, so I need the input, right? And the input is going to be some file, I guess. I'm not sure. I mean, it's going to have to be, unless I figure out a way that I could actually get the data streams from running the shell into the Clojure process. But I don't know if that's a good idea. It sounds like it's a bad idea, especially considering I'll have gigabytes of video files working. So, you know, that I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm just going to do it the way that's coming into my brain, and I can learn from that. So, let me make the resize function, and then I'll figure out some way that I could link the two together through a pipe command or something. Not a pipe command, a thread macro. Because that should be okay. Okay, so the shell command I'll get to in a moment. I'll do in.mp4 as a rough example. Then the filter is filter complex. And it's going to take the following shape. It's going to take the 0th video that's in. Since I have one input and it's only a video, the filter complex, you can reference that video with this syntax. 0 is first I argument. If I here were in2.mp4, then let's say I wanted to reference that one, then this would be a 1 index, right? So this is in2 and this is in. Since I only have one input, I just do 0 because it's the 0th index. And all I want to do is run the scale filter on this. And I want to scale it to something like super weird so that it's obvious that it happened. And that's the whole filter complex. There's nothing more to it. And then I just do copy audio. I actually don't know what this flag means yet, but I'll leave it the same for now. There. What about a sort of global definition of some key stuff? So the file names, resize sizes, etc. Do you mean like, imagine this being a proper script? Do you mean something to the effect of def, let's call it props for the sake of discussion here, and it would be target res, right? And that would be either you encode it as target width maybe independently or something like that. Target height is 1080, or you have something to the effect of res and then it's a string that you can parse out or something like that. And then temp file is, let's say, /temp/ something like that, and other various settings that you might want, like overlay size, something along those lines. Then you just pull out what you need in the methods when you need it. It's not a bad idea. Um, would that work? It would totally work just fine. Yeah, that's actually kind of a good idea. Since the functions aren't pure functions anyway, I kind of don't have to worry that I've got some global map, right? Like that's kind of not a real problem at all. In fact, this could be a really clever way to do config for running the script, right? What I was envisioning originally was something like this, where you define the pipeline, you pass it in your starting file, right? So you would have the camera footage, the screen footage, the audio, and taking those in, you would basically run cam, screen, audio through sync audio function, then trim to clap, right? So I sync I do a clap, and then you can use the audio to synchronize two videos of different length, right? And then you do crop cam or overlay cam and then you'd have, like the color, the frame color would be pink, trim to clap, and then you might have some features there. Anyway, you're exactly right. Like if all of these just know that there's the props that you can pull from at any time, I don't have to pass them all through, which is really quite handy. That's very useful. I like that. The only thing is maybe seems like the more Clojure way of doing it, keeping it more true to functional programming. Yeah, that's why I guess because I'm used to using Clojure, that's why my head went there first. And I'm not saying it's the right way. I'm saying it's the way that my brain came up with first. But I'm thinking through it, and you could still do it with your suggestion here. There's not much of a difference. The only potential issue I come up with is something like this. If we imagine sync audio takes in some file name, which to start the process, I'm going to explicitly say the camera footage is file A, screen footage is file B, audio is file C. So I, the user, am typing that in myself. So sync audio, or whichever function is first, knows exactly what file to look up. But let's imagine that it auto-generates a file name, right? It would be I don't know what you would call it. Let's imagine vid dot sync audio dot mp4, whatever it is, right? I need trim to clap, or imagine there's some other thing like a recolor function. Either way, imagine one of my edits uses this and another one doesn't. That changes the incoming file name for all subsequent calls here, right? So because I'm not necessarily overwriting file names, I'm just writing new files as the pipeline goes, and then potentially deleting them once the final call has successfully completed. So in this, I'm just theory crafting here. In this situation, you can't hard code any file names because they're temporary. what you could do is something like you could force, like you could, you could have def props be just a regular map, and then your pipeline requires a props call, and then every single one of these functions has the props as its first or whatever argument, and do it that way. Or you could, in the way you were saying, you could actually def props as an atom, and then every function has, at the end of its process, it does something like this. It does swap props with, you have to pass in a function. It would be probably something like assoc current file name, and then it would be the current file, right? And then that would mean any given function could guaranteed, in whatever order happens, guaranteed they could pull current file name to know where to look. So that would work too. I like that with the atom. I think I'm going to try that. I don't use atoms a lot, so this might be good practice to try this out, because I'm pretty sure this will work, but I'm probably forgetting something. But this seems kind of fun. It seems like a cool way to try it. So maybe I'll go with that. Does the problem I described with the file names here make sense to you? Like if I were to reorder these, if I wanted to do the recolor first, that would necessarily change, right? If by default every function does vid dot the name of its function, right? Or whatever, I don't have a scheme yet, right? That would you can't adjust them to your own needs without having something pass it around. I think that makes sense, right? I'm halfway able to explain what I'm talking about. Okay, good. I'm glad it makes a bit of sense. I've been using up my my explaining brain on a lot of other things this week. It's like, for whatever reason, I only have so much energy to come up with clear ways to explain things. And once that starts to break down, it's just better to not talk. But I actually, going through this atom idea seems compelling enough, so I might give that one a shot. In order to do that, what I want to do is build a basic resize, and I'll use these two functions to start kind of theorizing about crafting the atom a little bit better, because this won't work yet the way I've done it, I don't think. But we'll see. We'll have to see. Okay, so this resize video thing, let's just check that this works. Takes a lot of computing power in the old gray matter to constantly work through a problem to get to the best solution for every issue you run into. Best to write something sometimes and come back to it. Yeah, I have found that to be by far the best approach. The downside for someone like me, but with that, is only a minor downside. I do it a lot. Like I'll start a lot of new files and start a lot of new, kind of call them prototype functions and everything. And a lot of them end up in a half useful state, so it's the best way to write something good later, but it's also kind of a scattershot approach, at least the way my brain works. I don't know why that just ends up happening, but I know that about myself and I can work with that. It's not a bad thing. And it's kind of the same sort of thinking, REPL driven development, iterative approaches, all of that is in the same ballpark anyway. So pretty clearly I gravitate to workflows that allow that kind of sort of free-flowing, do it crappy first approach. Yeah, better to know yourself and work within your skills and know those things than to fight it, right? But you're totally right. Better to write something than nothing. And so I will write this function and start building this atom because it could be pretty cool. And the goal here is not to make a widely used library. It's to make a set of tools that help me edit my videos a little faster. It's an audience of one, so I don't need it to be perfect anyway. Let's imagine this input to be, oh, I deleted that. Let's call this frame because that's a little clearer maybe. And here the input is going to be frame, right? And filter complex. And here we go with the, let's go, oh, there we go. String it up. Oh, I didn't even try this, did I? I have to try this in, I have to make sure that this function will actually work the way I want it to. Frame resize.png. Let's run this function. Solid image. We'll make it 200 by 200. What's a cool color? Goldenrod. If you get an error 0, that means it worked. Yeah. That should also mean that there is a frame.png, and indeed there is. No need to test, just close your eyes and believe real hard. It's what we do in the field all the time. Okay, so I know that you're joking, but I also know that it's only half of a joke. And I mean this generally, not for you specifically. I worked at manufacturing companies, you know, like where we weld steel and we make structures that people use. And the structures are all fine, but there is a lot of, oh, it'll work going on when you have to get something out the door to a customer quickly. It's like my boss would draw something on a piece of paper, bring it down to the welder and say, hey, can you make this work? This piece is aluminum, this is that. And it's not tested. It's just, I've done this so many times, it should work, right? And I want to say 70% of the time that works, and there's 30% of the time where the part is scrap because it wasn't a good idea. So it's a joke, I get it, but it's not completely a joke. And sometimes the world is the world's a crazy place. You know, I shouldn't maybe generalize to your experience, but I do know for sure that's that's been part of my experience. I don't always feel comfortable with it. It depends on the context of what's actually happening, you know. If it's for internal projects and as long as people aren't in harm's way, I'm usually okay with testing things on the spot when it comes to building stuff. But that's a big old asterisk, right? You can't just rely on people being safe. You gotta plan things, you know. That's my lecture about testing. Okay, so that's the function, but let's also run this for a minute. Let's change this to frame.png. So this should create a oop, it didn't work. So this one, this might need This filter complex thing might need the quotes there. Well, that also didn't work. Well, look at that. Good thing I tested it, huh? X isn't working. It's working on my machine. Oh boy, the classic line. Yeah. No, I think everyone's been there. You know, no matter what kind of engineering you're part of, I do feel as if that's a common experience. And I don't know, I think it's maybe a testament to the sheer dumb luck required for humanity to function in general. I don't know, that's maybe a little unfair. There are genuinely plenty of situations where good enough is legitimately good enough, right? The real skill of engineering becomes trying to discern when to say stuff like that and when to really buckle down and say, no, this is unacceptably risky, you know? That can be a really hard thing. But yeah, works on my machine. Oh, that's a classic one too, for sure. Okay, so here I have a clear misunderstanding of a few things. Well, okay. Maybe maybe I should look it up after. I want to mess around with it just a tad more here. Oh, okay. So I was right. It was related to spacing issues. Let's open frame resize. I resized it to something weird, and that is definitely a weird size. That's good. Okay, so it does work, except I have to change a few things up here. And I will do that in a minute. I will be right back, though. Gonna go to the washroom. I won't be long. All right, back at it. Oh. Anytime I stretch, and like sometimes when you stretch, you just like almost can't help making a noise, right? I remember I was in one meeting at my last job, and there was the team of engineers. There were 3 engineers there. There was a sales, 1 or 2 sales people, and the boss was there, and all these guys were, late 40s, early 50s, right? So plenty of life left, but at the end of the meeting, it had been a little longer of a meeting, and everyone got up at the same time, and all of these guys simultaneously are just like, groaning as they get up, and it was the funniest thing. Like, it just made me laugh so much. I'm not making fun of being old. It was just the timing of it all, It was so funny. But yeah, so when I stretch like that just is what it reminds me of. A bunch of engineers and sales guys getting up after a long meeting and and just groaning. It was quite funny. And I'm not making fun of it because, we all end up there. All right, enough regaling of old office stories. Let's make something that works at least a little bit. Okay, so here I'm actually not sure if this is going to work the way I want it to, because this might cause an issue now. I'll have to see. Oh, this should also be on a new line. It's a separate thing. I'm going to try this. Naive. I might be naive thinking it'll work, but let's give it a shot. Let's remove frame resize. Oops. Okay, we got that. Let's run resize. The file. Oh, file. I'm not even using that currently. Ooh. Resize. I think this won't work. Exit 1. Yeah, there's an error. No such filter. Yeah. Bummer. Well, okay, let's see what happens when I don't have those in there. Maybe that's gonna work, though I'm not convinced. Okay, very clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. Let's open frame resize. You know what? That's what I've learned. I've learned that I don't have a clue about many things. All right, that's good. So these both work independently. Let's prototype one of these, this atom approach that I was thinking about. Okay, so let's do def props atom. I don't know why I'm bothering to keep this, but whatever. Let's do current file is a good idea, and the current file, I want it to be nil. Do I want it to be nil? Well, let's... No. Okay, for ease and simplicity, let's do temp / frame .png. I'll seed the atom with that. Okay, let me go here and just remove frame. remove frame. I'm gonna, I don't know if this works. Spit into temp slash asdf.txt asdf. No such file or directory. Okay. Huh. Oops. Okay. So I will need to create something that checks for a temp file or creates it. Although I wonder, is it bad to, if I do make dir temp, oh, file already exists. What happens if I, whoops, exit one? Okay. Not a big deal. I'm not going to worry about that element of this for now. I want to make sure that the atom thing will work the way I want it to. Let's give it a shot. Let's go. Let's change this now to use let file be current file from props. Is that a good idea? I'm just wondering actually if this is risky. Make dir -p. Huh, that is good to know. Let's just make it run itself quickly. Is make dir. Thanks for that tip. That is very easy. Temp. Yeah, that should work. So this is not necessarily smart because, well, maybe it isn't bad, but it's gonna just run in whatever folder you're running the script or you're running Clojure in. That's the baseline, or that's the top level. So I mean, I guess that's fine for now. I'm not installing this in my bin directory, so I'm just prototyping. It's all good. I do wonder if it's maybe a little bit risky. Imagine I have a pipeline here and they're all one at a time updating the current file in the atom. That's fine if everything works, but if something fails midway, right, you need to guarantee that if you want to restart the process, the current file is not pointed at something halfway through. You want it to start completely afresh on the original input. So what I should have is probably something that nils this out and then has a something like defin start pipe or something like that. That takes all and files or something to that effect, but I don't know how I want to design that, so I'm not going to worry about it for right now. Current file, I want it to be frame.png, temp slash frame.png. Okay, assuming that the happy path is achieved, I can do this. So this is nice because it's a file generation function. It does not require a file input. It's only a file output. So that's a good way to test starting these things off because it's going to be fine. It's pretty much going to be fine. But I can't just be done there. I also have to run, I always forget do syntax. I want to do two things. I think this will run two things. We will see. Swap. Swap into props with the function assoc. I always struggle to remember how these things work. Assoc into the map, into the key current file. Oh, this is a little bit wrong actually. I can nil this. The current file always has to be an input file, never an output file, right? Because the function will take care of writing its own output file back into the atom. So if I'm starting with no input in this particular test scenario, I can have nil and it should be completely fine, because as soon as I run solid image, it immediately goes to it immediately, in theory, writes the correct file name into here. And this, I don't need the let. I'm going back and forth a little bit on how I'm thinking about this. My apologies if it's hard to follow. Okay, so let's see. Oh, of course, no symbol F. Oh, being a little silly here. I'll just write this a little cleaner. Okay, so let F is not this. I do want it to be temp/frame.png. There we go. F is here and current file is F. So there, I don't have to write it twice. I just write it once. Is that correct? It looks like it might work. Okay, so if I get into the temp folder here, if I run solid image, if it's correct, if I run it with actual arguments, if I run it with all of the actual arguments, there's hopefully two side effects. Okay, so the current file becomes that. So let's do @props now. Okay, that looks good. And if I list temp, there is a frame.png. So that actually worked. That did the things I wanted. That's pretty neat. And now then here, resize could easily be, or should easily be, yeah, let the file be current file @props. So @props, I think you might know this, but you need to, is the shorthand for deref. If I just take props directly, it returns the object. I can't extract this doesn't work because I haven't dereferenced the atom to pull the data out at that point in time. So that's all that is. @props is exactly equivalent to deref. props like that. Same thing. Okay, so here, now resize should happily work in whatever order I give it. Is that correct? I wonder if I should I wonder if what is happening. Uh-oh. No. Don't ask again, please. I wonder if GenSim makes files safe, UUIDs or whatever. Oh, wait, is UUID thing a thing? Let's see here. Clojure, GenSim, file safe. Well, so what I'm thinking through here is instead of having a hard-coded file name, what if I do string gensim? I don't know if this might be dangerous, but let's live life on the edge, you know? Okay, the temp folder's empty. Let's run solid image again. Uh-oh. Well, that's obviously not good. I hope that the other argument, or I hope that ffmpeg failed with a bad argument because I typed this wrong. Oops. Okay, let's try one more time. Live dangerously, like I said. Okay. cd temp. Okay, so that's not working the way I expected it to. I wonder if I do need to append this to it in order for it to run. Let's try that. Okay, that looks like it's actually going to work. There we go. I was expecting a file. So what I was trying to do is make files without file name extensions, but I think what happens is that ffmpeg will look for file extensions and change certain settings implicitly. So if you don't put a file name, it'll fail because I haven't explicitly added things like the pixel format and stuff like that. So I think that's what might have happened. Does that make sense? Oh, excuse me. Here, right? If I run this, nope, that's the wrong one. Solid PNG. Oh, come on. Why is nothing working today? One of those days. There we go. Okay. So if I run this, it should create I'm missing there we go. Right, so that made out.png, but if I run it again with just out. Okay. Yeah, no, it's not the relative path issue. I wonder if I explicitly pass an O flag. O option not found. Huh. So that actually surprises me a little bit. A lot of the time, a command line tool doesn't technically need the file extension, but then again, it shouldn't surprise me because you can write a short ffmpeg one-liner. You can do ffmpeg input movie.mov, and then you can immediately say movie.mp4, and it will know. It'll use the file extensions to convert the file for you. So it shouldn't be that surprising. I just did expect different behavior, but that's fine. I can work with this. It isn't a problem. I did think there might be an output flag or something like that. Format. Oh, this is probably it here. -F. I could probably do it that way. Well, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm going to maybe research the nuances of ffmpeg a little later. Let's leave this here. I don't know if using gensim to make file names is a good idea, but the whole idea is if it all handles itself, you never run into bad names, but maybe that's not true. So here I just apply the do logic to this. Oops. Do that and then swap here, but not current file. It'll be new file. New file will be string gensim temp / .png, and this is exactly, see, I keep typing the temp folder here. That could easily be something I put here. Work directory temp, and then I could have that be always referenced here or something to that effect. file and new file or next file. Association to this, not the current file, but the next file. And here, instead of frame resize, you just do next file. Is that what I want? I'm just thinking about if I'm actually getting real benefit by using this atom to track things. I might be, but I don't know yet. Let's make a commit. No, what should I define end? This is going to take end is going to take a file name argument, and it's going to it's basically going to take the current file and save it as a new file name in whatever spot the user wanted. So oh, this I definitely typed that wrong. This has to go here. Right, so let's make this end to save the file in some final capacity. So what it'll do, it'll actually run a do, and it'll do two things. The first thing it'll do is shell move current file at props. Right, it'll move that to file. Wait. This would work except, well, okay, so I'll call it good for now. So it'll do that. Let's make sure it works the way I expect. Shell move out.png to asdf.png. Oh, right, I have to put the temp slash. ASDF, okay, that does work. Then remove oh, and I could, no, never mind. No, never mind. Here I want to remove string temp with star, and this is the riskiest part, I think. Right? If I'm here, if I run remove temp slash star, the only file in no touch or I could do this, remove dash rf, recursive remove the temp folder directly, like this. And the risk there is obviously, well, I mean, it's kind of a little dangerous to run rm because it doesn't necessarily check. Let's try it anyway. Let's live dangerously, right? So let's remove temp. Let's build a little do situation here. So what I want to run is temp folder solid image, the width is 1, the height is 1, and the color is green. Then I should be able to resize that into 500, 500. Then I should be able to end the process with calling it wow.png. No. Oh, I didn't. That didn't work. Okay. Okay, that worked. Oh, here's part of the problem. I didn't actually reference the new file name in the resize here, so that won't work. Sheesh, silly man. Ugh. I'm just goofing up left, right, and center. There we go. Let's try that one. Okay. Nope, not what I meant to do. Okay, so it is deleting the temp folder at the end of the whole thing. Okay, well, let's... What does @props look like now? Current file nil. That makes sense because you run end. Well, let's try to run it one thing at a time. Still something going wrong here. What's the problem now? Zoned out? Oh, I zoned out too. I'm just fiddling about. I'm sort of testing a rough pipeline with this do here. And I'm just kind of seeing where things are going wrong. Right now, things are going wrong already at solid image here. So I have to figure out what the deal is. That's all. I'm not quite sure what's happening. So let's run temp folder. Let's run solid image 11 green. This already isn't working, and I'm not clear as to why. So let's have a peek at this then. Width, height, color, width, height. Maybe I can't, maybe it's invalid to do 1, 1. Yeah, that's it. I was maybe getting a little aggressive with my attempts there. So, should be 2 files here. If I open 5785, should be small. Yeah. And this one, 88, should be larger, and it is. If you want a 1 pixel by 1 pixel image, you should have it. You know what? I say so too, but I don't know what's going on. Why doesn't ffmpeg let you make a 1 pixel video? Oh, we were doing so well without these bots. Let's see here. There we go. Yeah, so I'm guessing in the context of video, 1 pixel by 1 pixel is, it's not meaningless. I mean, you could have a video where the pixel is just changing color values, but I don't know. It's invalid. And that is okay. Like, I don't actually need it to be 1 pixel. I was just being aggressive for the sake of contrast. But so the thing I'm just trying to think through here is, wow.png. Beat me to it, couldn't find the ban button. So what I do, yeah, it's a race, it's a competition. If you click the use, if you're on mobile, you can click the username like it's a link. Then a little window pops up. The ban button is like one of those circle with a line through it symbols on the left under the friends button. On desktop, I think it's actually the same thing. You click the username, a little window pops up, and there is a ban button in there. At least that's how I've been doing it. So there's ban, timeout, and mod, unmod, that kind of thing. Oh, fair enough. Yeah. Still not used to the mod view. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I use Twitch as the streamer a lot, so I don't actually pay close attention when I'm just watching another stream to the differences. So that's actually a good point that we've got different views here. That's okay. That is no problem. All right, so let's okay, so wow.png seems to work. Let's remove it. Okay. What I want to do is run this. Let's do cyan. It didn't work. Oh, once again, I'm being a little bit silly. All right, I didn't write it there. I only wrote it in the REPL. This has to be more than 1 by 1. There we go. Ugh, my eyes. All right, so that works, but now what I actually am just kind of thinking through here, I actually want to make the same pipeline in a way without the atom. What I want to do is def props 2 with just a regular map and see what I get. Like, I'm not sure yet if I'm benefiting from using the map or not, or pardon me, the atom. Gonna file a bug to get me 1 pixel images. It's gonna turn into this whole ridiculous thing for no reason. I don't need a 1 pixel image. So this is what I want to do, okay? I want to take a 1080p video file. I want to break every frame into individual pixels, and then I want to run an algorithm on the pixel 1 by 1, and then I want to restitch every pixel back together in the same order. Can ffmpeg do that? How small can you go, do you think? 2 by 1? That is actually a good question. Let's mess about with that for a moment. Let's copy this. Make dir temp. All right. So 1 by 1 will fail. Let's see what error it gives me. Ugh, again, bad quote there. Picture size 0 by 0 is invalid. Failed to configure output pad on the parsed color. I don't know why it thinks it's 0 by 0. That's a bit weird to me. Let's try 2 by 2. 2 by 2 works. So if what did I call that? Open out There it is. I don't know why. But so you asked about 2 by 1. Let's see if that works. I'm going to guess it'll fail. Invalid. I guess it's related to the need to pad frames, I guess. I'm not sure what the tech underneath that is, but if you need at least 3 pixels to do RGB, I'm not sure that's it. I mean, a single pixel can hold, if you're in the, so pixel format in ffmpeg is a separate thing from the resolution or the number of pixels, right? So if the pixel format allows for RGBA values, a single 1 by 1 image could contain still 4 different, 3 integers, I guess, and a float, or 3 floats if it's 0 to 1 in every case there. So I'm not sure that that's it, but maybe? I honestly have no idea. I don't know enough about video encoding, muxing, demuxing, all that stuff to give a clear answer. But 2 by 2 works. I don't know why it yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, it might be, you might be right actually, in a sense. So what I said I think is accurate for what pixels actually are, but I think you might be right in the context of wanting to encode video, right? So some compression algorithms use like they basically they do diffs between keyframes, right? So if pixel values are, if there's no diff between regions, then that particular chunk of pixel data is kind of saved per, like, for multiple frames, so that you can store less total data, right? And maybe the default compression that ffmpeg uses when you don't specify requires a certain minimal amount of pixels, and maybe 1 by 1 doesn't let you do any, well, obviously you can't diff anything really except for the entirety of it, and maybe that's part of it. That's a wild guess. I have no clue. But who knows? I'm not convinced that that's true, because I'm also making a single frame, a PNG image, right? So, you know, you don't really need to compress across time. But that's just a really loose theory. Yeah, but as far as I know, pixel formats are by design completely irrelevant, like they're atemporal completely, right? They just hold, if you have a pixel, it is those values and that's it. If you're looking at a different time, it's a different pixel, or it's the same pixel that was determined by an algorithm to not have changed or something. I don't know. Video is wild. But I was wondering here if I could make the same kind of pipeline with slightly different, with a slightly different approach to these functions. So if I define solid image 2, where the only difference here is it takes the map m, which actually is going to be, I'm going to do keys current file. Yeah, let's start with that. That's fine. Width, height, color. Then everything's the same. resize to, same thing, keys. Oh, I don't want to swap this time. So here, instead of doing a swap, I actually am just going to create a new map. And that new map is just going to be, oh no, what I would actually want to do is alias this as M so that the whole map flows through. And then this would be, I want to do soch into M, current file, the new file, which actually I should be a little consistent here. Let nf be this string. Right, so this will have the result of passing into the next function the map that is produced here. And so if I destructure it immediately in the next one, keys, current file as M, and then the resize will just be a width and a height. It ends up looking, I don't need current file, I just need new file. Then you do all those things, and then you just assoc. That's resize 2, and then there's end 2, which has the same thing again, basically, except I just have a new file name. And then I do the same thing. I don't need to swap anything. And it's the end, so I actually can I don't need to return the map anymore technically, although I should, just for a little bit of consistency, I probably should. Assoc M current file fname, so that you can tell that it all finished, kinda. So let's see, what have I done wrong? Solid image. Oh, new file. No, this is wrong. This would actually be current file. There we go. All right, let's see. So the reason I'm just building this out is just to illustrate the similar but different approach here. And I'm just trying to think through what the actual better design is. So this second thing here has no atom attached to it. All I do is map the props map through everything that I want. Solid image 2, I want to do 2 by 2 since I know that works. Let's do cyan. Here I want to resize the image into 300 by 20. You know what? Let's do 30 by 500 instead. How about that? It's vertical this time. And then end 2 with wild stuff yo .png. So that works just as well. Like, it ends up functioning the same way. So here is the thing going through my head right now is I don't know what the better design is. In the case where I have the atom, I wired these things together by running them just sequentially in a do like this, which might be good because I think any Clojure user would quickly understand that, oh, if I see a bunch of stuff in a do block like that, it's very likely that it's causing a bunch of side effects, which is true for sure. And you don't have to explicitly pass a map into the front of all of these functions. But here, you can use a thread macro. All of these functions kind of work together. You can't in this case, you can't resize something that doesn't exist, but see, I just don't know what is better. That's all. They're essentially doing the equivalent stuff, right? That's the thing. One cool thing about this, I'm pretty sure this should work. If I add some extra, this should show up at the end still, right? So if I def props 2 to be that, and I run this again, yeah, so the map, even though the map is immutable, right? It's not the map that's saved in the atom. Even though it's immutable, if you start the whole chain with whatever map you set up here, any key that existed at the start will flow through completely untouched through all of these things. Now, if I go here and do assoc into extra, changed it on you, and then I do that, and then I run this again. Oh, it didn't do. That's strange. I don't know why that's the case. Well, I guess it's not working the way I thought. Gotta back things up a little bit here. Oh, something's wrong. Well, the theme of the day is I don't know what I'm talking about. Huh. Okay. Weird. Okay, so now it worked. No, it didn't. Oh, here's why. It worked once because the temp file already existed, but I still need to do this. Yeah, see, this is, I just don't know what the right design is here. I have no clear enough idea in my mind, unfortunately. Right, anytime I want to make a function work in this map pipeline approach, yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, what time am I at here? 4:20. I'm going to give myself another 10 minutes. I'm going to finish up this little example here. And then I'm going to then I'm going to make the first wrap for this camera overlay function, because I happen to know for sure that at least if I make that function work on its own, that's already useful. So that's always at least a good place to go. Yeah, so what might be cool to do, I'm thinking what I might do is get a few of these functions set up the way I want, get them working reasonably well, and I might make a YouTube gist, or GitHub gist, right? Gist.github.com. Slap something up here, and just ask. Maybe I'll post in like a Clojure Slack channel or something, and see if people have feedback. So maybe that's a good way to go. Because there are people who know Clojure way better than I do and might have good guidance on that front. Because I can make things that work, and I just don't know. I don't know what I don't know, so I can't even judge objectively in this case. As a total tangent, the first video I made, I have all of this is all the code that was used in that video. It's available right on the gist.github page. That is also linked in that video, so it's all good. But that's only, so the actual implementation is only 120 lines. It's definitely even less than that because there's some comments, there's needless spaces in there. It's a pretty small thing, but like I said, total tangent. All right, let's add this temp folder function to this pipeline and see if that will work, because I think it should. Oh, there we go. That worked. Okay. There was a thing I wanted to just try briefly this extra yo I should be able to associate to extra sup, right? That should work. It didn't work, and I'm not sure why. I'm mixing up. All right, I'll try this one more time. Okay, it just isn't. Okay, it is making the file, but this This doesn't make sense to me. Okay, well, like I said, I won't worry about it too much right now. Let's get a basic, let's try to convert this thing into something I could start to use. I won't get to test it today. I've got not a ton of time left, but that's fine. I can at least write the function. Overlay camera. Let's do, I'm going to do this one purely as taking the files in for now. Actually, let's make a sample here. So in the case of the camera overlay, I want to give it a few bits of information. The what's a clever way to make this, like, give it minimal information? Okay, let's do camera border. Okay, 8 pixels. Camera dims width by height. So let's say here 480, 270. Although even here it would be I'll leave it for now. It would be cool to only specify maintain aspect ratio and only do the maximum. Like, you cannot, the rule being you cannot be greater than the width or greater than this, but you can be less than either one. So if it's a square, it would be a 270 by 270 square, centered instead, and, or not centered, but in the corner, and the camera border would appropriately adjust itself, just in case I crop the camera from the 1080p to a circle or who knows. But I won't worry about that now. Just good to have something basic in place. So using these bits of information, I can get already the border size pixels here. I can get the scale to create here. I can get the, oh, I should do position is going to be H offset and so horizontal offset and vertical offset. So let's say I want it to be 40 pixels in on each side, and I want it to be corner bottom right. So what I'm trying to make it natural, like more declarative than so specific. Like shrink the camera down, put it in the bottom right corner, 40 pixels away from both edges is kind of like the sentence I'm thinking of. So I'm trying to represent the data in a way that makes sense. I can change this, of course, but I'm going to say leave it at that for now. And border color is something. Let's do hot pink, because that is what I use in the videos, because it's a fine looking color, draws the attention. And that that's kind of it, right? Oh no, there's okay, so let's say I call that props, right? Def overlay props or something. Do that. And this is going to be keys. Border width color it's hard to know sometimes. I don't know. I'm gonna call it good. I'm definitely at the overthinking it point, unfortunately. So keys, border, camera dims. I wonder if I can double destructure this. Keys. I'm not sure that this is gonna work, but let's see what happens. Width, color, camera. Oh, this should be just dims and position. All right, I have no idea if that's gonna work. Let's just return all of it and see if that destructuring even works. Yeah, no, the keys thing didn't work. I did it wrong. There might be a way to do that, but I'm not going to worry about it. Border. So this, if I do now let keys width color be from border, now I should be able to do width color dims and position. Okay, so if I do overlay camera of overlay props, it do okay. The width 8, the color is hot pink, the dimensions are those things, and the position's that. Okay, so that's looking okay. And let's just string this whole thing in quick, and then I'm gonna go. So this, obviously I have to switch to the shell call, but I'll start with string and then just kind of inspect the formatting later on. So, you know, I can call it for the day soon. Oh, I obviously still have to do cam file and screen file. So cam file is here. Nope. screen file is the first one. It doesn't have to be, but that is just how I wrote this. Keep it simple, or keep it consistent for the time being, at least. The second one is cam file. Then we've got this stuff, which is all gonna be string color equals color running out of, there we go, string color equals color filter complex. I'm getting lost in the weeds here a little bit. Okay, I do have to go actually, so this I'm gonna leave it right in the middle of a function, unfortunately, but that is gonna have to be it for me for the day. I am running out of energy. I still have a few things to do, so want to conserve a little bit of that brain power and take a quick break, get some food, go to the gym, and get back to it. So that's going to be me. Thanks for tuning in. I always appreciate that. It's always fun to stream, always great when people tune in and chat, so you know the drill at this point. Yeah, you take it easy too, Mike, and yeah, I should be back streaming tomorrow, barring any crazy circumstances, which I don't foresee happening, so I will assume that I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one, and good luck with work tomorrow if I don't see you, and have a good weekend if I don't see you, but hopefully I will. That's enough for me. I'm going to get going.